Alright, hey guys, we're back here, a week ahead, September 2nd through the 8th. Yeah, another thing before we get started with the week ahead is it's on. The Sidereal Astrology Masterclass, it's on. So in the description of this video, whether it's YouTube or you got it by my email list, you're going to see links to the page to fill out the application so you can get, sign up for this class. And I'm taking applications because I just want to make sure that everyone taking the class is like ready to go deep, and they're going to use astrology for the right intention and all of that stuff. I'm reviewing all of this. So click the link, follow the application process, and just a heads up, we already have to make a second class for the month, because the first class already got filled up with people who wanted to, get put on the list. Like a lot of people who follow me heard that I was doing the class, and they were just like, put me on the list. I don't even, whatever. So even before I was prepared to take payment and all that stuff. But so we're gonna have 2 classes running. So just get your application in, and we'll hopefully we can get everybody in. And if not, there'll be one after as well. So siderealastrologist.com. On the home page, there's going to be one big button that's going to show up and says apply for the astrology masterclass, and that's what you're going to do. All right, so it's going to be good, man. I've been putting it together. This is going to be a big one. All right, but let's move ahead. The week ahead transit, actually, it's better to look at it on this chart that I have up, because everything relates to the 2 main aspects that are going on that we can see in this chart more clearer than the way I normally do my transits, which is with the timeline. So we're going to go over this. We have a grand trine and we have a T-square. That's the main 2 aspects going on for the week. So I'm going to walk us through both, right? So I'm going to give us the good news and then the bad news, right? Trines are good, squares are bad, but that's not necessarily true, because trines just mean supportive flow with the lessons and the energy, and squares are the support comes through frustration, challenge, difficulties, and then when you overcome those, then you get the lesson, and that's where it's at. That's how it works. Alright, so we're going to do the trine first, because we're going to see all this energy with the trine, which could possibly trigger what's going on with the T-square. Alright, and then we're going to see how to correct it, right? Alright, so let's start here. Alright, so now let's start with the grand trine. Starts here. Everything is in Leo, right? Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. Pretty much all conjunct, but I did change my settings with my conjunctions. I'm trying to make my conjunctions tighter. It's just something that I'm looking at. So the Venus is not a conjunction with Mercury, but if you look in the sky and you can see all this, it's pretty much conjunct. I would leave this at conjunct, because it's 1 degree away from what I normally work with. So I'm just going to leave this as is, right? Because also Venus is a fast-moving planet. So yeah, I'm just going to read this all as conjunct in Leo, which was going on the last 2 weeks with the new moon, full moons. We had that going on the last 2 videos, which just pointed to a lot of royal knowing and consciousness, because Mercury was involved. And the Venus and the Mars is the masculine feminine, and they're with the solar sun, the father. So a lot of that I was talking about in the last videos, that related to this kind of galactic knowing, this royal galactic cosmic knowing. And that's kind of what's still going on in Leo. So that's part of the trine, and it heads over to Uranus in Aries. Uranus is retrograde, and it's 4 degrees Aries. But we've been tracking Uranus since it left Pisces and went into Aries. So we've been feeling this self-renewal, liberated breakthrough energy, because that's what Uranus does. It just awakens and renews, and Aries is all about breakthrough, plowing through. It's ruled by Mars, so that's kind of that energy there. Then that comes down, which is really nice to see, is Uranus trines up on Saturn in Sagittarius, which Saturn is part of the whole restructuring program that we're kind of going through with the Saturn South Node Pluto conjunction coming together, right? Which is breaking down old system, rebuilding new. So what this looks like is galactic knowing royalty, renewal of self knowing, breaking through barriers, breaking through the limits, breaking through old structures, renewing of self, awakening of self, all of that. That's Uranus and Aries. Saturn is about limitations, time, structure, and maturity. So these two are the opposite, actually. Saturn and Uranus are opposite energies, but the fact that they're trying together with this galactic knowing, what I wrote was galactic, new galactic royal knowing with a structured path towards freedom. So the Saturn Sagittarius retrograde hitting Uranus, trining Uranus retrograde in Aries, is now creating a structured path to freedom. Because before, when Saturn is just limited, there's no freedom, or very limited freedom. This is a structured path to freedom. So this is what we're seeing with this trine. So galactic knowing with a structured path towards freedom, which is kind of liberating, because we live under the Saturnian realm, and there's a lot of mythology that points to that, which is what we're going to go over in the class as well, is what is Saturn, why, and what's the archetype of Saturn, the mythology of Saturn, all the cosmology stories of Saturn, the creation myths, and all of this stuff with Saturn. There's a lot that says that we're under the control of Saturn, which is very limited, structured. That's why in the human body, it's just, we feel like that's all we have sometimes, but we're actually bigger than that. So this is now allowing us to actually kind of like step into that and have a structured path in that knowing. So this is great. This is like a structured release, right, of the Saturnian prison, flesh body prison, whatever you want to go on. I can talk about forever about the Saturnian flesh prison, right? So that's the trine that we're talking about. So it's in harmony. Now we're going to talk about the T-square, which is interesting because the T-square, if it's feeling the energy of the grand trine, the T-square can overextend with this spiritual confidence, right? So I'm going to point it out. So now we have Jupiter right in between Scorpio and Ophiuchus, and now Scorpio and Ophiuchus share the same part of the sky. Ophiuchus is above the ecliptic, Scorpio is below the ecliptic, but it's the same part of the sky. And that's why when I read Scorpio Ophiuchus, I always say Scorpio Ophiuchus. This is on the Scorpio Ophiuchus cusp, no matter where it is, because just look at a sky map, you'll see Ophiuchus is right above Scorpio, and it's the same part. It's not like this, it's like that, and the ecliptic is in the middle, and the Milky Way comes right in the middle. So that's a powerful point in the sky, because that's where the center of the galaxy is, the galactic center is. And you have a royal planet. Jupiter's the king of the planets. It's the royal planet. Now that planet was retrograde, so it went more into Scorpio. Now it's coming back towards the galactic center. And a lot of cosmology stories show that point of the galactic center is where the shaman kings go, and they call it the Crossroads of Two Worlds. And just until recently, we figured out what those two worlds are. Those two worlds are, for 3 billion years, we've been merging with a galaxy called the Sagittarius Dwarf Galaxy. And we just discovered that in 1994. But we discovered it with our telescopes But we realize it's been going on for 3 billion years. So if the ancients knew something, that's why a lot of times you hear me when I'm talking about the type of astrology, what sidereal astrology is, and my practice and the depth of it. I call it, the ancient future. I study astrology from the ancient future because it's all cyclical. It is the ancient future, right? And in the class we'll explain what the ancient future is because it's all cyclical. It's only because we live in the Saturnian realm that we have time that places this in steps. But it's all cyclical, and it's an ancient future. Is that what we're practicing? So we're just rediscovering, our ancient past, which is the ancient future, because that's how it works. But I don't want to go too deep in the video here. But yeah, all right. So that's what Jupiter means in this part of the sky. And it's a T-square, so it's hitting Neptune. Neptune in Aquarius retrograde was also about like this utopian dream, but it's also like visions of the past and the future because it was having aspects with the nodes. So it was a little bit confusing, nostalgia kind of the past, but so there was like stuff going on there. But it's also the flow of spirit, the greater realm. And then Jupiter opposes the Venus right over here. I'm sorry, Neptune opposes the Venus. So that's a little bit of like feminine spiritual energy going on there. So what I'm thinking is like, what this is pointing to is like, this just the Jupiter and the Neptune alone is saying like, with this spiritual knowledge that you're getting from the trine, you might overextend. You might actually feel entitled. You might actually feel privileged that you are like galactic royal knowing and all this stuff, and you might feel like you're better than some people, and that's actually not the proper way to apply cosmic spiritual enlightenment. So you might be, so stuff might be happening there, and you can see the Jupiter comes up on everything, in Leo that we just discussed. So that's the T-square, and I'm just like either I mean, hopefully if you can harness the trine, you would see people working the T-square in themselves that are not necessarily paying attention to astrology. They're just like going with the flow, and they just don't even know. Those are like ones that are like have less awareness, or you want to say less consciousness of the cosmic, mechanics, the celestial mechanics. But since we're paying attention to this, we have awareness of the celestial mechanics, so we can catch ourselves when our ego goes out of control. We feel more entitled because we have more spiritual knowing and whatever. We have a better spiritual practice than the average, Joe, Schmo, whatever. But that's not how we should be applying that energy, right? But you might see someone else acting like that, and you might know that, they're dealing with the T-square. So you might choose to kind of disengage, or just do whatever you do to kind of keep your energy up and not go into whatever it is that you're getting pulled into with someone's like controlled drama, or whatever it is that happens when people feel entitled or privileged or anything like that. That's really not, you can avoid that. Pivot and step, that's what a friend calls it. You don't like it? Pivot and step. You have every right to do it. So that's what's going on there, right? And it's hitting Venus, so it could have a little bit of something to do with the feminine. I don't know yet, but there's something else going on with the feminine. We're going to do that in a second. I just want to show one more aspect that shows support in these two aspects, which could show like this is like testing. This is like a test of true success. And what that is the Jupiter has a semi-sextile to the Saturn. So what that shows is the apex of the T-square is Jupiter, and the apex of the Grand Trine is Saturn. And the Grand Trine is really rooted because it looks like right close conjunct to the IC Imam Coli, which is the lowest part of the sky, which relates to rooted on Earth, And it looks like that with the trine. The trine is like apex, like dug into Earth. So right here they're connected, which shows time-tested, matured success. Jupiter, Saturn kind of show up that way. So this might be something that is like, might just be one of the things that are testing us and see how we deal with a lot of high conscious energy. What we're going to do with it. Are we going to overextend and be delusional and abuse it, or are we going to, so that's possible. All right. Next thing is Pluto is trining on Venus, right? Pluto trine Venus. So that's the Shakti energy. That's feminine power, sexual power, that type of energy. It's a trine, so it's good. So it's like goddess moving energy, right? Feminine alchemy, because it's a bigger picture here. Is you have Moon square Pluto, right? And Moon square Pluto is could be the dark feminine, or could be the mysterious feminine. It could be the alchemist feminine, right? And I'll explain to you how I'm coming up with that. Is the Moon in Virgo pretty powerful, because Virgo, it goes way beyond what you read right now in all these like astrology 101 cookbooks that says like Virgos are meticulous, they organize things, and they could organize papers and whatever, it's like, she rules the 6th house, so that's why it's good for work. Must be a hard worker. No, like scratch all that. And we'll go deeper into this when, if you guys take the training course. The true mythology creation story, cosmology creation story of Virgo is way beyond that. Virgo is the divine mother. A lot of times they say Virgo is the divine mother Mary energy, opposite of Pisces, which is Jesus, right? But it goes beyond that. It's at one point she was shown in ancient sky maps as standing. The feminine was standing. Now they show her laying down, so the feminine got knocked down. So that shows up in that story. We can point that out. So now M stands for mother, but they also relate it to Mary, and matter, M, all M. Also related to the divine Sophia cosmic awareness, consciousness, which you can research what Sophia energy is, Sophia consciousness is. It's the divine feminine cosmic consciousness. A lot of that is related to Virgo. And the M, the mother, immaculate conception, immaculate birth, right? What that relates to on the cosmic realm is, in Virgo, takes the chaos of the cosmos and creates matter. It creates physical matter. And that's why they say Virgos are organized, because in the ancient cosmology stories, she creates matter, chaos into matter and form, and gives it a form, which is why we have the form of baby Jesus, right? Or Christ consciousness comes from the divine Sophia consciousness. So this is Virgo. And now when you look at on a scientific level, because I always look at the stories and I want to I read all the ancient stories, and I understand them, and I want to match it with science, and then it makes sense. Now you look at Virgo as a pure scientific astronomer, which I do astrophotography, and it's known in my field that spring, which is when Virgo is rising at night, we call that galaxy season. And why is that? Because Virgo has so many galaxies, and it's called the Virgo supercluster. It's a known thing. The Virgo supercluster, which is what we're part of, which is a cluster of galaxies, hundreds, I don't know the exact number, there's thousands of galaxies clustered together. And that's in Virgo. So it's like, and then you go back now to all these creation stories, and you look it up for yourself. Every single religion or every single civilization has a creation story that is a weaving spider. A spider that weaves creation. Look at all of them. They all have a weaver that weaves matter and life and reality into creation, like creation. Now, when you look at Virgo on a sky map, a regular sky map, and you zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, it looks like the same as you would look if you were to look at a spider that just gave birth, with all the spiders just coming out of the eggs, like little mini spiders everywhere, and then the mother spider is like right there, kind of like showing evidence that, yeah, I just gave birth to all these millions of spiders. So Virgo in the sky looks exactly like that. The birthing mother, the cosmic birthing mother, the spider that weaves matter into creation. So that's Virgo. All right, that's my version of Virgo. So it's not the 101 version on the little books that you buy in like Barnes & Noble. This is the real deal Virgo. Now you got the moon there, which is the feminine, and it's connected to Pluto. So this is like deep feminine shadow work is going on right now, because then Pluto is connected to Venus. So this is divine feminine cosmic energy. But there's shadow work going on there, but it's going to be goddess-like, because it's not a square to Venus. Pluto's not square, it's trine. So that's good. Alright, so that is really what's going on this week, alright? There's going to be like deep, deep work going on there. And it's pointing to us moving into like a higher divine cosmic consciousness, because we're like what we're seeing, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. We have to remember the old system is being broken down so a new one could be created. So just remember that every time you see things in the news, politics, all this stuff, we are now able to connect and stand up and say, yeah, okay, great, you're doing that thing that's screwed up, it's not going to happen again. We have more rights, we have more ability to look at what we did. We have these protests in Europe, and even in Puerto Rico, that's where my family's from. They ousted the governor. They protested, they ousted the governor. I mean, who would have thought, A lot of people think Puerto Ricans don't do much. They ousted a government. That's something that we can't even do. Okay, and they did it, all right? So that's pretty real deal. And this is kind of what's showing up. And this is connected to cosmic consciousness through the heart, the passion of the heart. This is what's going on right now. So this is what all this is pointing out to. And we have now the right and the voice to say, no, we're building a new world. And all this corruption, it's not going to happen anymore. That's it. It's done. All right? So this is where we're at right now. And this is what this week shows up again to be like, right? So, yeah, pretty big deal. I like it. Yeah, drink a lot of water. Okay, I gotta roll. Yeah, I've been talking for like 20-something minutes. Anyway, the class, the master class. I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning of the video, because sometimes I go like, but I put people on a waiting list, like close people that follow me and communicate with me. They heard my announcement. So already the first class is full, but I might run 2 classes, A and B class. Because I want to keep the class small, 10 people. So just like still fill out the application, and I'm going to do like another class the same time, but just like another day. Yeah, so siderealastrologist.com, fill out the form. We'll communicate. We'll get you in the class. If you're ready to go, where we go. To the ancient future. Alright guys, that's it. Subscribe and do all those things, man. Just stay in touch with me, okay? Alright, so I'll catch you next week. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.